Welcome to the flipped lesson, an introduction to argumentation for our AP Language and Composition course. The information that I'm about to go through here helps you figure out how to label and break down arguments, the different structures and balances used to build arguments. So this is a good additional component to the flipped lesson on rhetoric. But what we'll look at today with this lesson is going through and looking at the different parts of an argument. So looking at exactly what argumentation is, the main analysis module, Tolman's analysis for rhetoric, and then we're going to do some practice on the models above. So there will be plenty of times that you'll need to pause to copy down some information, and if you want to pause and to look at everything that's on your screen. But the overall introduction here is that every single thing is an argument. If you look at the world around you, an argument does not have to simply be a written text. The three visuals on your screen here are perfect examples. They're cartoons. Some have more words than others. Some just have letters. But they're all conveying some kind of idea that everything around you is an argument. So even though we'll look at lots of textual argument in this course, visuals are a huge component as well. So some of the main textual arguments that we'll look at too is our Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches. These are traditionally, when I ask students what is an argument, they go to these. Things that are arguing for one's rights, one's freedoms, one's liberties. But even the visual world around you is just as argumentative as visuals. So now what I want to do is to show you the basic parts of an argument. And I'm going to give you a visual. I want you to picture a seesaw with the triangle underneath that's balancing. The three parts of an argument, the first is a claim, the main idea of the author, or the thesis, the main idea. The second part is some kind of data, the use of evidence to support that claim. And it all balances on something that's called the warrant, the relevance of the idea. So I've got some scenarios and examples for you to go through. So one claim may be that I say that you should buy our tooth whitening product. I'm claiming that you should do this. The data behind it for you to buy my tooth whitening product is because studies show that your teeth are 50% whiter after using my product one time. And the relevance of this is that people want whiter teeth. So it's a balancing act here. This would not work if people did not care about the appearance or the healthiness of their teeth. A second example is that someone may claim that women should buy this company's slimming jeans. What might be some data behind it? One may be that 9 out of 10 women feel more confident and look slimmer in these jeans. And what's the relevance of this idea? That people want to feel secure and slim. So if people didn't care about their appearance, and it's sad how much importance is put on one's appearance, then this argument would fall through. So here's some questions to consider when you look at this basic kind of building of an argument. How do you accurately support a claim? You have to use some kind of data, but how do you accurately support that claim? Any fool can have an opinion, but how do you then change that from a fool to a master of what he or she's trying to say? What exactly qualifies as data? What can I use to support my claim? Are there some things that are better, or are there some things that you should not use? And then how do you know what a warrant is, especially if it's not stated? How do you know why this is relevant if it's not cut and dry? So these are some questions for us to consider when building and analyzing arguments. So when you evaluate the argument, you have to assess a claim. What is the writer's message? And these are the first steps that we're going to take together as we begin this class with some of the foundational documents of America's past. What is the speaker trying to convey? What is the author's purpose? The claim, in essence, is the thesis of a writer's work, so then that thesis, therefore, has to be supported if there's going to be some form of success. So the first step when you get to the point of evaluating one's argument is to read the text or skim through the visual one time through and try to sum up what the main idea or purpose is. The second step then is to assess the data. You've got an idea of what the main idea or ideas are. So what does the writer support? What are the reasons given for this argument? What are the different kinds of evidence that's presented? Think of the authenticity of data. Is it legit, or is it just a bunch of baloney? So you have to really consider where the data is coming from. If you make up statistics, it's going to work against you. But if you can cite the U.S. Department of Census, there's you some hardcore kind of data. And here are some other examples. Surveys, research, some kind of testimony, general consistency, first-hand experience of going through something. And in order for a claim to have weight, the data must be reliable, supportive, and work in favor. If you have poor supporting evidence, your argument goes through. And think about when you write a paper in class. If I ask you what the theme of 1984 is, you're going to claim that this is the theme. Then you're going to go into some supporting evidence from the book. If you pick some key examples from the book that support that theme, you've done a good job. But if you pick poorly, then it falls through, and then your paper grade is lowered. So think about it in the exact same way so far. And then lastly, you have to evaluate and assess the warrant. What is being assumed here? What is it about the audience or the situation that makes this possible and makes this relevant? The majority of the things you're going to study in this course have been chosen because of their relevance. They may come from the 1600s, but not only was it relevant then, it still has some kind of relevance to today. The warrant is the link between the claim and the data, and that is the weakest part of any argument. If I'm going to deliver a speech in front of a huge crowd somewhere, but it's not relevant, it falls through no matter how great of a writer I may be, how I may make emotional appeals and use the best evidence ever. So, for example, if I'm going to speak in front of the whole school about Medicaid and about how you need to save Social Security for retirement and the different kinds of features you may need or things you may need to buy in your elderly years, it's not relevant to a student body who's not past the age of 17 or 18 yet. So an extreme example, but works nonetheless. So the key thing here too is to look at refuting arguments. A lot of what we see today is accepted without question. And there's that commercial that says, if it's on the internet, it's true. So TV advertisements, conversations that you participate in or eavesdrop in, things that even your teachers say or the newspapers print, you accept as being truthful without really questioning it. But using Toulmin's model, you can accomplish two things. Identifying the basic elements of an argument and test and critique your own arguments will be a huge factor when you write argumentative papers. There are three more elements to consider to add to this basic part, so I'm going to return us back to the Toulmins in just a second. But first, what I want you to do is I want you to pause the screen here and read each claim below and see if you can develop data and a relevant warrant for each. So pause to complete this and to bring it into class with you.